Welcome to the Meet the Candidate Forum. My name is Jeannie Bird, and I have the pleasure of serving as the chair of the LDRC. This year, you have one candidate for the position of President-elect and 3 candidates for the position of Board of Director at large. You will have an opportunity to vote for one President-elect candidate and 2 Board of Director at large candidates when the polls open on site here Saturday morning at 11 a.m. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my members of the LDRC for their hard work this year as we worked on projects to assist our member faculty and staff to reach their leadership potential. Can I have my committee who are present stand, please? Candidates, would you please take 1 minute to introduce yourself to the membership and tell them why you are running for office? We'll start with Kevin.
Thank you.
You want to use that mic?
Oh, sure. Fantastic. I can sit.
You can sit.
Great, thank you. First, I'd like to thank the board and the leadership, PAEA, for the opportunity here. My name is Kevin Schuer, and I am Associate Professor and Academic Coordinator at the University of Kentucky PA program in Lexington, Kentucky. I'm running for a number of reasons, but I think primarily service back to the organization is something that's really important to me, especially given an organization that's done so much for not only myself, but certainly speaking on behalf of the candidates as well up here to them as well. So very fortunate and honored to serve.
Hi, my name is Harry Pomerantz. I've been a PA since 1978 and in PA education since 97. And I've worked for several committees for PAEA and chaired the Committee on Diversity and Inclusion for 6 years. I had the pleasure and the responsibility as chair to collaborate with other committee members, including Jeannie, and to work with the board, which I found very exciting, a great learning experience, and just very energizing. I look forward to contribute to the organization, to work with the organization, to represent the membership, and to be part of this wonderful process. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Janie McDaniel. I am an assistant professor and director of admissions at the Wake Forest University PA program in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I've been in PA education for about almost 20 years now, and I bring a unique perspective in some regards, but especially because I've been in admissions. I've worked with the CASP Admissions Committee for 6 years. I've also worked with the Internal Volunteer Structures Work Group, and also am now working with the PAEA PANDO workshops and the basic skills, teaching the basic skills workshop. So I feel like all of those perspectives are part of the reason that I want to continue my service with the Board of Directors. And it's just a very exciting time to be in PA education. And I feel like I can bring a lot of the expertise from my former service to be on the board and bring unique perspectives into some interprofessional endeavors that the organization's beginning to embark on. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Snyder, and I'm a physician assistant. I'm the Associate Director of the Butler University Physician Assistant Program in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm running for the position of President-elect. As a profession, our contributions are being acknowledged. This is in part due to foundational efforts by many people in this room. But we are at a crossroads. The healthcare environment is changing. We are facing significant challenges in education, its funding, and its delivery. PA education is experiencing unparalleled growth, and with that growth, pressure. As PA educators, we must decide if we want to be at the forefront leading this change, or if we want to follow and let change happen to us. I want to be a leader in PA education. I want PAEA to be a leader in that education, and there's much work to be done. PAEA needs a leadership team who can hit the ground running. I would like to be a part of that team, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. At this time, I will ask for anyone who has a question for the candidates to please approach a microphone in order to be recognized. Seeing none, the LDRC have prepared questions for the candidates that I will now ask of each of you. I will start with Jennifer Schneider at the end. You will each have 2 minutes to answer the questions that have been written by the LDRC. Jennifer, as a current member of the PAEA Board of Directors, what are some challenges that you have seen within the organization that you hope to remedy during your term as president?
That's a great question. So, you know, there are a lot of challenges. There are a lot of issues that we're facing, and part of that is just growing. And that growth is not necessarily focused on new programs, because we're also pulling away from our established programs. We have, again, situations with education and how it's changing, and the delivery of that education, and the finances associated with that education. I hope that we can affect a change. We're not going to fix the situation, but the way that we're going to address the situation is coming together and focusing our efforts and talking about it and trying to work through it that way. So through conversation, collaboration, that's going to be the way we fix things. So I hope that we can fix them, but we're going to work on them, I guarantee that.
All right, thank you very much. The next question is for Janie McDaniel. Using your knowledge and experience, how would you further the efforts of PAEA in assisting PA programs to become more culturally diverse with pipeline efforts for applicants?
Great question. I think my expertise and my service as chair of the CASPA Admissions Committee, which is now the Recruitment and Admissions Council, kind of gave me a lot of perspective and gives me a lot of perspective to bring to the board in regards to the diversity that's needed in the PA applicant pool, so that we can have that same diversity in the PA applicant profession. What we're seeing from the applicant standpoint is the applicants, and I've done some research and with the CASPA 10-year data that I'll be presenting on Saturday, but what we've seen is that it's the ethnicity and the cultural diversity from our applicants has been pretty steady throughout the first 10 years of the CASPA service. And what we really need to do is to develop some strategies for increasing diversity so that it better reflects the population of the country rather than this steady state that we've seen with the PA applicant pool over the first 10 years. So I think that would be the way I would move that forward.
All right, thank you very much. Harry, using your knowledge and experience, how would you further the efforts of PAEA in assisting PA programs to become more culturally diverse with pipeline efforts for faculty recruitment?
I think that the issue of faculty recruitment is very much tied to recruitment of students, since that's the body that we pull from. I think we certainly need to mentor minority faculty to take a greater role in the organization and within their institution. But primarily, I think we need to increase the number of minority applicants, and that's on many levels. Certainly, Project Access is going to schools, primary schools, secondary schools, high school, and colleges to let minority students know about the profession so they will apply. PAEA has been very involved in supporting that and involved in a holistic admission project so that students who do apply, who may not be the typical student, but very well may be a very, very good student, have the opportunity to be a PA and encouragement to be a PA. So I think it really takes many levels, but certainly getting the students into the programs, getting them to work as PAs, and hopefully to encourage minority working PAs to join our profession as educators as well.
Thank you very much. Kevin, using your knowledge and experience, how would you further the efforts of PAEA in assisting PA programs to become more culturally diverse with curricular development?
Yeah, again, there's been a number of fantastic initiatives that PAEA has been directly involved with, a lot of which is being talked about over the course of this forum. So I agree with the candidates with respect to the student and faculty growing a more diverse student body, faculty body. With respect to curricular developments, I think it's a really interesting question. You know, what comes to mind is you know, how students learn, how I grew up in suburban central Ohio. Really, the way that I learned and the way that I experienced things makes actually some of the students that we have that come from more diverse backgrounds, they don't learn that way. It's not the same things that they've studied, looked at, and they're very uncomfortable with whatever curricular pedagogy that's in place. And so I think it's very important as a leader, as a board member, to continue to think about ways in which to draw from expertise in the area so that we can really make students from underserved communities feel more comfortable in learning and then growing them that way from a leadership standpoint.
Thank you, Kevin. This concludes the Meet the Candidate Forum. All right, there's a question from the floor. Can we have the mic on? The question that's been asked is if the candidates can comment on what the optimal relationship should be between PAEA and the ARC. Jennifer, we'll start with Jennifer.
Thanks, Jim. That's a great question. I think that one of the things that we need to think about is that they are a regulating body. So they have to have some independence, obviously, with what they do and how they do it. That would be key. That's vital to any regulatory body. But I think that we need to have very open dialogue with them about what we need as a profession to the best of our ability. We need to provide them data that backs our case or our stance, and part of that we need to do, and the direction that we need to go and how it affects the education process. So open dialogue is very important. We have to respect their autonomy, but also tell them what we need, and we need to collectively do that. And sometimes, since we're so diverse, that's hard to do, but that's really what we need to do.
Go ahead, Janie.
My turn. I don't think I could have said it any better, but I do think that there needs to be that collaborative effort between the four organizations, realizing that ARC-PA is the accrediting body and that there are certain standards that have to be set that can't be shared and can't be, collaborated over the organizations. But I think we need to do as much as we can to relate with each other and identify as best we can with things that need to be done that we can do together to make the profession better.
Harry?
I also agree that this should be collaborative and collegial, with both organizations listening to each other's needs and taking each other's responsibilities seriously, and we're working towards the same goals. So I think it's a question of how do we do that most effectively, and certainly as the times change and the needs change, how do we work together to bring the profession forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been said, but, I'm a big proponent of, understanding if there's disagreement, if we're not coming together on whatever, there needs to be really good discussion, high-level communication on both ends. As a potential board member, I would sort of expect that, the ARC knows clearly where we are and what our needs are, as the candidates have said, and we would expect ARC to do the same thing so that we could find some mutual understanding about what it is that we want to do, given the fact that what Harry just mentioned, that we're really trying to do the same thing and promote the profession.
All right, thank you. Are there any other additional questions from the floor for the candidates? Please approach a microphone to be recognized.
I don't know if this microphone is working again, but anyway, just as a thought, you asked a lot about cultural diversity in your questions initially, and then the follow-up question was about the ARC requirements, and just wanted to see about your position of increasing or working with ARC to promote standards for promoting cultural diversity among our student applicants. And you supported that.
Is there any way we can get these microphones turned on? I can't rephrase that question.
Oh, it's on.
Did everyone hear the question? Would you mind restating it, please?
Speak into the microphone. Is that better?
I can tell you.
Yes.
Just a follow-up question. I was just thinking about the questions that you asked initially about cultural diversity and the question about ARC, working with ARC as a PAEA board, and whether you would consider advocating for any standards in the ARC that would promote or hold programs accountable for a certain level of diversity among their student applicants or thereabouts.
Kevin, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So, given that, fantastic question, given that I haven't thought really deeply about that particular question in the sense that, standard development and the repercussions of that. But as I've written about in the platform statement, and I tried to field on the first question, is that I would be in favor of that, as there is an expectation, a certain expectation of level of diversity that we should have, because there's data and evidence out there that suggests that when your students or when patients look like you, they identify with you, that there's better opportunities for better care there, and so. Yeah, I would be in favor of that, provided that I'm not thinking of something that would have negative, deleterious effects, given it's a standard, right? So we obviously would need to work with ARC in that as a board, for sure.
Harry?
Thank you. That certainly is a route that AAMC has taken with the LCME accreditation. And as a committee, when I was a diversity committee chair, we looked at that. And part of their issue was that when we asked them, has diversity increased, they said they really don't know, because programs identify what is diversity for them. And I think that's somewhat true with the PA programs as well. They're situated in different localities. Their sense of diversity, it may be rural, it may be age-related, there may be other factors that programs need to take into what diversity is, and I don't know that we can prescribe exactly what it is. But I think what we can ask is that a process be in place and there be support from administration, that there's financial support to look at increasing the diversity according to the mission of the program. I don't think it's just one size fits all, but again, according to the mission of the program, I think that there should be an effort, and that effort can be documented. And I think as we go on, if we need to make changes, we can certainly do that, but we certainly have to take the progress into account, as well as the diversity of the country. I mean, both are very important issues.
Go ahead, Janie.
Thanks. I really struggle with the concept of putting a standard out there that you have to have a certain number or percent or whatever, because I agree with Harry totally that I think that each program has a mission-driven purpose, and I've noticed that many of the admissions or many of the programs in the country are going more towards meeting their mission in their admissions processes. So I really struggle with the idea of actually setting something like as a percentage or even a set number or whatever, and having that as a standard. I think we could certainly advocate for increasing diversity, but I'm not sure that that should come forth through an ARC-PA standard.
Jennifer?
So Harry, it seems like you've done this for a while, or some sort of experience. Yeah, I agree with Harry on this one. You know, we need to establish what diversity is. I don't think we have a really good definition of diversity to begin with, and so to set a resolution or a standard associated with that, I think is not necessarily a good idea, because diversity comes in all forms, and I'm definitely in favor of diversity, but it might be tough to do that just because of it means so much to so many different people. So while I am in favor of the concept, to put it so directly in that form, I don't know if that's a good idea. It's great to advocate for, but...
Thank you. We have a question over here.
My question is, if you look at the programs that have closed, all those which are on probation, whether it's in Chicago or California or anywhere in the country, they are programs that historically serve the minorities and which produce graduates that actually go to serve the underserved. My question is, as a board member, what plans do you have in place to protect some of these dwindling programs that historically have been serving minorities?
All right, we'll start with Jennifer.
So I think what you said was, what plans do we have to help programs that are struggling, especially those focused in minority areas? Is that? That have closed or on probation? So I think a number of programs are struggling, whether they're minority based or not. And I think that the PAEA needs to provide significant attention to programs that are struggling, because we're only as strong as our weakest link. And if that means focusing on minorities, minority programs, or those that have closed, you know, I think that we need to provide services, membership services associated with them. We are a membership organization, and we need to, again, strengthen that weakest program, whatever that program is. So that's where I think we ought to place our efforts. And so if it's a minority program or an underserved program or one that's in West Texas or wherever, that's what we need to do.
I agree with Jennifer, and I do think that we have to look at not just ethnic diversity, but, you know, even things like economically disadvantaged students, educationally disadvantaged students. How can we reach out to these programs to help encourage them, these students, to not just apply, but to want to be PAs? And I think we need to help these programs that have those missions to move that forward and let them reach out to those students. And so we've got to, I think PAEA needs to be able to stand up and help these programs that are struggling so that they can meet their mission, and hopefully their mission, and usually their mission is going to be more towards reaching out to these either economically disadvantaged, educationally disadvantaged, ethnic diversities, or whatever. So I think we can do that, and I think we need to do that.
I think a very important point has been raised by the gentleman. Even though the PA profession is diverse compared to the medical profession, the large number of minorities are in a very, very small number of programs. So there is a responsibility for the organization to support those programs because we would lose a huge chunk of diversity. There really is kind of an imbalance in that area. I do think it's important for PAEA in whatever way we can, administratively, academically, to work with those programs and to really make sure that they can survive and they can turn out good PAs who will do the work that needs to be done. Many PAs do return to the neighborhood they're from. So if we want PAs to work in underrepresented area, we need to recruit from those areas, and we need to support those schools and the faculty in that process. I don't know of specifics, or I don't know the specific situation, but I do think that it does call for special attention.
No, I totally agree with Harry and the gentleman who raised the question. To me, this kind of goes back to Dr. Colley's original question about the relationship between the organization and the ARC. I absolutely think that if this is in fact happening, that there needs to be discussion with the ARC and collaboration, again, with the ARC and PAEA to see that why this is happening and to support these programs for all the reasons the candidates mentioned and for all the people in the audience who know how important diversity is to our country. And so, yeah, it's very much something that we need to be working in concert with as an organization with the ARC to understand this better so that we can improve this situation.
Thank you, candidates. I'm sorry, but we are out of time for this allotted section of the first business meeting. Thank you all for your questions. The on-site election again opens Saturday at 11 a.m. Results will be announced to this body during business meeting number 2. I would now like to introduce Dave Cahey, the chair of the Government Relations and External Affairs Council.